State University, and he had been missing since August 24th.
Wait for the other group. Okay. So first I want to introduce myself. I'm Officer John Furman. I'm the Public Information Officer with the Bloomington Police Department. To catch people up on kind of this case, the Bloomington Police has been the lead, in the investigation behind Jelani Day's disappearance. The second thing I want to say and get out there, our thoughts and prayers are with Jelani's family, their friends, everyone that's involved in this. It's kind of touched the hearts of everybody in America. And I want to also tell people, especially on social media, things like that, make sure if your comments or anything like that are supportive and they're empathetic of what the family's going through. Personally, I don't know how I would be if I were in their shoes. So just remember to support them, be empathetic with them. They're going through a grieving process right now. So again, everybody try to, especially online, make sure that you're empathetic. So the next part, I'm just going to talk basically through this media release. Today, the LaSalle County Coroner's Office identified the male body that was found on September 4th as Jelani Day of Bloomington, Illinois. This was done through forensic dental identification and DNA testing and comparison. Currently, from the LaSalle County Coroner's Office, the cause of death is unknown, pending further investigation and toxicology testing. For those who may not know all the information, Jelani Day was reported missing on August 25th, 2021 here in Bloomington. The family reported they had last spoken with him on the evening hours of Monday, August 23rd, 2021. Throughout part of the investigation, we learned that he was last seen on campus on August 24th. And then we learned some more information throughout the investigation that he was seen at Beyond Hello, a retail shop here in Bloomington. We released a lot of that information in hopes to solicit tips, on his location. On August 26th, Jelani's vehicle was located in Peru, Illinois. Based on the findings of that vehicle, Peru Police Department, along with other agencies, including the state police, did a coordinated search in the area. We collected a lot of evidence from the vehicle, and we were using a lot of that, evidence to go through digital data. So, the investigation continued while we were combing through a lot of that data. We relied heavily on different agencies throughout the investigation. The Peru Police Department did a great job in helping with us, soliciting leads. They asked for a lot of camera footage. Throughout that part of the investigation, we got some more information that I can't specifically release, which led to a large-scale search coordinated by several different agencies and professional search agencies, which that was on September 4th when we located the body. So they started that search in the early morning of September 4th, and then located the body just a few hours later. It's just a difficult case really to talk about. We're still doing our investigation. We're not finished with it. I just talked to the detective. There's still things that we still need to do. Just because Jelani was identified and the body was located, that doesn't mean we're done. If anything, that helps us, help the LaSalle County Sheriff's Office. They've got a death investigation. There's not a whole lot I can say on that. But that's where we're going to be, helping each other. That our detective's still working on the case, and LaSalle County Sheriff's Office is still working on the case, and there's still some pending results. The toxicology through the LaSalle County Coroner's Office. But really, it's going to be a team effort still. The investigation is still ongoing, and it hasn't stopped. And again, I just want to reiterate that everyone should be empathetic towards the Day family. Again, if I were in their shoes, I don't know how I would be in that grievance process. So just try to be respectful throughout it and support them. That's the kind of the overall aspect. I'll open up to questions if you just want to raise your hand. We'll get through as many as we can, or all of them. That works.
Is his death now being investigated as a homicide, or is it still considered a death investigation?
That's, I guess, a better question for LaSalle County. Right now, I mean, we don't want to put the cart before the horse kind of thing. It's still an investigation. Throughout the investigation, it could turn into that. It could already be that. Just right now, I guess the best answer is that it's still an investigation. It's a death investigation. No matter what it is, those are always handled, at the highest level. So it could turn into that. It could not. Again, the LaSalle County Sheriff's Office will have a better answer for you, especially down the road. Those will be answers that, or questions that can be answered a little bit, maybe a week, maybe a month, who knows. But that's something that can be answered better down the road. Yeah.
What can you tell us about the process that it took and why there was nearly 3 weeks? Clearly there's some issues going on with identification. What can you tell us about that process and why it took that amount of time from finding the body to finally identifying it?
And that's a good question too, because I think everybody that was following the case was patient. We were patient. I think maybe a week or two ago, I think people lost patience. It's one of those things that sometimes it's out of your control, especially as a police department. The coroner's office sent off the testing. I can't really get into a lot of why the identification wasn't made or things like that, and I really don't, out of respect for the family, don't want to get into any details. But DNA testing was sent off. I know there were some issues with that, and I can just tell you basically today that that's the dental confirmation was an important aspect that was helpful in identifying. Yeah.
Question: was the FBI called in to assist, and also several Black Lives Matter activists have gone missing or been found dead? We know that Jelani was active in a BLM protest last summer. Do you think that could have been a factor?
I'll answer both of them. Sorry for, it takes me a minute to get both questions. The FBI, we've had contacts with them for, I actually checked, I think September 3rd, somewhere around there. We've been in contact with a lot of different agencies. Luckily, our agency, even though we're a medium size, we have a lot of specialized units, which is we've got a cybercrime unit that are specifically trained to comb through, electronic data. Every investigation in 2021 is ultra reliant on video cameras and electronic data. And the old way used to be eyewitnesses, but having those special resources in-house has been very beneficial. To the second question about him being active in BLM, that's the first I'm hearing about it, and that wouldn't have changed anything in how our department would have handled it. Detective Jones has been a case manager. Basically, that means he's the know-all. He's got to know every single information. There has been points during the investigation when, he was overwhelmed, and what we did is the sergeants, lieutenants, and our criminal investigation division helped him out, assigned other detectives. We had our crime scene unit helping. We had about half of our detectives helping throughout portions of the case where it's something that's time sensitive, or there just was too much coming in. At this point, we've combed through almost anything that's of value, and I know Detective Jones is still going through leads and tips and still getting some in, but it's kind of slowed down a little bit.
So you don't think that may have played a factor in his disappearance, his involvement with the protest?
Oh, sorry, I answered it totally wrong then. I have, and I guess that goes for all the questions. There's really, since it's still an active investigation, any kind of details like that we wouldn't answer. So sorry I didn't answer your question right for the first time. But really we can't, since it's an active investigation on our side in LaSalle County, that's not something that we would release anyways. Yeah.
All the state partners involved, what does the FBI do that you didn't have?
I can't really answer specifically, but I can tell you experience. They're specialized in a lot of different things. We're specialized in a lot of different things. They may reach out to us for some things and vice versa. It really, if it's just another, head in the room that can bounce ideas off of. There's been several meetings where Detective Jones, and we've had a big group together and just bouncing ideas, trying to get a different perspective. So no matter what, sometimes when you have too many people involved, it makes things more difficult, but sometimes it's helpful to just get a different opinion on, hey, are we down the right way? Is there anything you can do to help? Are you willing to help? Those are some questions that we usually get out pretty early, is just, hey, are you willing? What can you do? And how can you help us?
There's a case in Buckeye, Arizona, with striking similarities between this case that's active right now. Another man missing, car found in a ravine in a remote-ish area. Have you guys been in contact with them at all and compared notes to these two cases?
I think that's a great follow-up question. Kind of what I just said is, especially that if there is, let's say hypothetically, if there is a connection, us already establishing a connection with the FBI would be important. That's of course, if you're saying it, it's an obvious thing that our detectives will look into. But that's where it would be nice, and that we have established a connection with the FBI, because there's no way possible, we can have 5 or 6 detectives or a crime scene unit go out to a different area if they're connected. That's where we'd have to rely on, major federal agencies, just because the distance is a problem. For us, we were fortunate that we could work face to face. I mean, we could go up to Peru, and we did interview different people, and that was a benefit for us, where we had sort of a central Illinois investigation rather than multiple states. Those get very difficult.
Have you spoken with the Day family today? Do you know how they're doing?
I know that the chief, or our chief, or interim chief, and the detectives, they had a meeting this morning. Of course, we don't want to do.
Instructed, and she said to me, Carmen, if you don't want us to go through the phone, let me know now, and we'll turn it over to the FBI. And I told her that's what I prefer for her to do. So if they can turn it over to the FBI and not mess with it, because at this point, I need the FBI involved. I need them to not provide oversight, not to be engaged, but to take over this case.
The family of Jelani Day is demanding that the Justice Department bring in the FBI to investigate the death of the Illinois State University grad student as a potential hate crime.
Not satisfied with local police, who have called Day's death a suicide, Jelani's mother, Carmen Day, has hired civil rights attorney Ben Crump. The two of them are kind enough to join us live here on Good Day this morning. Carmen, I know we talked in the commercial break, but again, our dearest sympathy goes out to you and your family over your loss. I can't imagine what you're going through. It's been almost 4 months since his body was found in the Illinois River. You're not just a grieving mother, you're someone who has been forced by circumstance to join this investigation. Tell our viewers why it was you decided to bring in Ben Crump.
Well, I needed Mr. Crump's help because I'm not getting the assistance or the resources or anything that is afforded to anybody else that has been missing. We've seen Gabby Petito missing and everything that was afforded to her. So I figured, and I'm so grateful and blessed that Mr. Crump wants to help me, because with his presence, that he's a mighty, powerful, and great attorney. I am praying that with him on my side that I'm able to at least get the attention and the help that we need to help find out what happened to Jelani.
Absolutely. Well, Ben, you have called the town of Peru, where Jelani was found, a sundown town. Now, those who are not familiar with that term, what do you mean when you say that?
Certainly. Thank you all for covering this important matter, because Carmen really wants answers. She does not believe, she does not accept that her son committed suicide. The facts just don't add up. And when you put into the historical reference of this town being a sundown town, which means Black people were not allowed to be in that town after the sun went down. And if you were, you could be killed. And that is the history of this town. And when you think about that, Jelani's body was found in the Illinois River, 3.5 miles from his car. His clothes were found miles in another direction. His wallet was found miles in another direction. His cell phone was found miles in another direction. And then his license plate were removed from the back of his car. That does not sound like suicide. That sounds like homicide. And so we are asking the FBI to take over this investigation and investigate it as a hate crime because we believe Jelani Day was killed.
To Ben's point, Carmen, you've been a detective in this. You've had to become one because you've been so dissatisfied with what the local police have told you. I can only imagine how frustrating it is wanting some closure here. Have you heard from the government at all? Do we know this morning whether or not the Department of Justice is in fact going to bring in the FBI?
At this point, I don't know anything. I have not heard anything. Me and Mr. Crump had a press conference on Friday, and on Friday, the LaSalle County Police released a news statement saying that they will be coming forth with additional information soon. Every time I do something, when I was able to get into the press, when I was able to get exposure, besides it being local, they've always had a development. So if this is what I have to do to continue to push them to do their job, then this is what I'll do. So no, at this time, I have not heard anything from the Department of Justice. I have not heard anything from the FBI. All I know now is that they're going to be announcing something further this week, and I'm just very interested in finding out what it is that they've done. Since they started this investigation of theirs, as they told me, they were starting back over. Jelani's body was identified on September 23rd. On September 24th, they told me that they were starting back on day one. So a whole month had elapsed, and they were now wanting to go back and retract their steps. So I'm very interested in finding out what it is that they know now.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Crump, and you have done a lot of these types of investigations. Maybe you can explain to our viewers, some time has passed since he went missing and then he was found. How critical is this time right now that you would like to see the FBI get involved?
We want the FBI to get involved because they have resources that are superior to any other investigative agency in America. Just looking at his cell phone, being able to look at the last pings where he was located at, the last text messages, the last phone calls, all those things can help us answer this question, who killed Jelani Day? Furthermore, Carmen has been the best investigator of everybody so far because Jelani's life matters to her. We're not sure if it mattered to those local authorities the way that it would matter to you if that was your child. We think there's a disparity in when a black person goes missing in America, the level of attention and commitment it gets in any minority versus when a white person goes missing in America. And so all we're saying is imagine if you were Carmen Day. Your son has done everything right in life. I mean, he's got a college degree. He hasn't committed any crimes. He's in graduate school getting a PhD, for God's sake. And all of a sudden, people are trying to suggest to you, well, he turns up naked, dead in a river, and it might be suicide. And you're saying, no, go find out who killed my son the same way we watched you do with Gabby Patino, this young white woman in Orlando, Florida. And so that's all Carmen is saying. Please give Jelani the same care and consideration that you would give your child.
We got to leave it there. Carmen, I know you said you spoke to your son every day. He did not suffer from depression. He did not have any financial burdens that may have led him to take his own life. I wish we had more time, but thank you to you both, and perhaps we can have you back on with some better news. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I never thought that I would be here today requesting that y'all help me to demand justice for my son.
The mother's plea, the family of Jelani Day say they need answers. Thanks for being here. The 25-year-old's body was found in Peru along the Illinois River back in September. It took a month for authorities to identify him. Just 2 weeks ago, the LaSalle County coroner ruled Day died from drowning.
However, the family says there is more to this investigation and they need answers. WAND's Karen Isert takes us to Bloomington, where family, activists, and community members gathered to march for Jelani Day.
Jelani Day! Jelani Day!
Their voices echo in downtown Bloomington, the city where Jelani Day was reported missing from. Hundreds gathered to show their support and march for answers.
We want transparency. This investigation has been going on long before Gabby Petito, and we are glad that her case has been resolved and justice has been served. We want the same sort of energy right here in Bloomington.
Jelani Day's family isn't satisfied with how the investigation's going. They want authorities to make this case their top priority.
This is where it started. And so the Bloomington police should be on their job. They should be wanting to know what happened to Jelani as well. Not because I done made all this noise, but because Jelani was important.
Illinois State University students, activists from Decatur and Springfield, all marching alongside Day's family and Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Jelani matters. Jelani's life matters. Jelani's important. So regardless of whether I live in the same city as him or not, he is of value. He is, no family should have to go through this.
Day's mother says she won't stop until she finds out what happened to her son.
Please, all I'm asking, I just need information on my son. That's it. I just want to know what happened to him. I know y'all want to know now because I made it your business to know what happened to him.
Marching as one and making their voices heard. In Bloomington, Karen Eisert, WAND News.
Authorities are still asking for information. Family says anyone who saw him in the days leading up to his death should contact police right away.
Day was last seen on August 24th. He was reported missing on August 25th. Just a day later, his car found abandoned in the woods near the YMCA in Peru, about 60 miles north of his last known location. Investigators then pulled a body from the Illinois River September 4th. Day's body was officially identified several weeks later using dental and DNA records. On October 25th, the LaSalle County coroner ruled Day died from drowning and said there was no signs of injury prior to him going into the water.
I need to know what happened to my son. I had to do my own investigation work.
It's been more than 100 days since 25-year-old Jelani Day went missing on August 24th. His body was found nearly 2 weeks later, and it wasn't confirmed to be him until September 23rd by police. His mother, Carmen Day, has been on a nonstop crusade seeking answers as to what happened to her son.
I need the FBI to come in and to take over because these local jurisdictions have shown us that they have not made this a priority.
Jelani was an Illinois State University graduate student studying to become a speech pathologist. On August 24th, his mom couldn't reach him by phone and filed a missing persons report the next day. Jelani's body was eventually found 10 days later, floating in the Illinois River in Peru, Illinois, a small town about 60 miles north of Bloomington, Illinois. Jelani's school is located close to Bloomington. However, it's Peru that leaves the family with questions. Family members and one of their attorneys, Biavri Lamar, question whether foul play is involved because several of Jelani's personal belongings were found and brought to authorities by other people.
And then just the idea about, with things sort of scattered about, the clothes, the car, the cell phone, all of that also is very, very concerning.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen one item that has been in close proximity to another in this case. Everything has been blocks away, if not miles away.
As we understand it, his car was found 3.5 miles from the river where he allegedly committed suicide in, but then his clothes were found another place.
That's right.
His wallet was found another place.
That's right.
His cell phone was found another place by different people, and it's just not adding up.
Carmen Day says since Jelani's death, she haven't received much help from local police to find out what happened to her son, so she and family members did what they could on their own.
It was me and my children who took on the task of going to stores, of going to gas stations and watching surveillance tapes and calling the detectives and asking them, have you checked this area? Can you come and get this videotape because we see Jelani's car here?
Atlanta Black Star was told by the Peru Police Department the LaSalle Sheriff's Office is the lead agency handling the case. The Sheriff's Office also said it will be releasing new information soon, but did not give us a set day and time. Jelani's family wants federal authorities to take over the investigation. with hopes it will expedite the process and give Jelani the same level of effort as missing and unsolved cases involving white women and men.
So that's why the family at this point is calling for the FBI. Obviously, the FBI is going to be the most versed in handling these type of cases, knowing what to look for, being able to conduct certain behavioral analysis to kind of determine a prospect of who the alleged killer would be.
Jelani was important. Jelani is missed. I wake up every day having to deal with the fact that I cannot talk to my son.
So far, the FBI has not taken the lead on the investigation. A spokesperson told the Atlanta Black Star the FBI is always willing to assist at the request of local law enforcement and is in communication with the Peru Police Department to provide resources as needed. Reporting for Atlanta Black Star, I'm Cavante Smalls.
Pathologists didn't have all the body parts, organs for the body they identified as our brother Jelani Day. According to the second autopsy, the pathologist was confused as to why the first pathologist did what he did to our brother's body to perform the autopsy itself. Furthermore, the second pathologist was confused as to why he didn't have the whole body, and we are under the impression that the state lab still has body parts in their possession. Also, there are major organs that are damaged, or in their words, mush and liquefied. We are not taking organ harvesting off the table, but still our mother's wishes are not to make organ harvesting the main focus. We are in the process of getting a third autopsy done due to numerous amount of conflicting information from the first and second autopsy. They have been keeping us in the dark, and we the family have been working to get answers. Due to the distrust, this is why we suspect foul play of the LaSalle County Coroner, LaSalle County Sheriff Office, LaSalle PD, Peru PD, and Bloomington PD.
More now on the tragedy involving 25-year-old Jelani Day. Right now, police are still calling this investigation. They're not ruling out whether Jelani Day's death could become a homicide case. We're waiting for word on that. But joining me right now is Survey Day. He is the brother of Jelani Day. Thank you so much for joining us. We know this is a tragic time for you and your family. First and foremost, our condolences. We have been sharing your family's story, your brother's story. It's heartbreaking, so our condolences first. And the first thing I want to do is just honor his memory. What can you share with us about your brother?
My brother was just like a more innocent version of me. He was always happy. He was always happy to meet new people, always willing and ready to just have fun anytime he could. Just a vibrant spirit, vibrant soul. None of this makes sense. It's definitely a homicide. Just how the police officers, the officials, the detectives, or however they want to title themselves, they're not doing what they need to be done, doing what they need to be doing to help us find this out.
Yeah, we know that your family reported your brother missing nearly a month ago. Can you describe a little bit what happened with your interactions with police during that time?
Yes, so when we initially found out this, my older brother had contacted me, and instantly we went down to see what was going on. Mainly when anything happens, everybody always calls me, because I'm usually the person that knows everything that's going on, but this time I was like struck and distraught because I didn't know exactly how to explain this to anybody or what to do forward next. So upon meeting up with the police, we got into my brother's apartment. Usually you would think that they would, yellow tape everything. They wouldn't allow anybody to take anything out the home or anything like that, but they did allow me to take my brother's laptop. And myself, And occasionally my sister would come with me to go to different locations and areas to go try to, talk to businesses or officials. It was really us doing this footwork. And then when we found the car 2 days afterwards that my brother went missing in Peru, Illinois, the police there in Peru never did an official search until a week later. It was up to my mom and the family members in our community where we're from, friends from all over came out to help us conduct a search in the area so that we can go ahead and try to find clues or evidence and report back to them so they can do what their badge is for, so we can find out more evidence, more things, try to help find my brother, because it felt like we were alone in this in the very beginning. They tried to say that was he depressed because of his program. My brothers were not built like that. From a very young age, we would always talk to face our problems head on. So whatever happened, whether it's something that was stressful for us, he would have came and talked to us about it. It was nothing that he would have ran away from or tried to run away from, because he knew he had support, he knew he had help. So it was a lot at first they were trying to say he was depressed and stressed by his master's program. It couldn't have been, and I know it couldn't have been, because we're not built that way.
I really admire you for your strength in talking about this and just hearing what you had to go through, searching for clues while you're grieving. That must have been so difficult. I mean, at what point did your family say, we're upset, we're grieving, but the police aren't doing enough, we just have to do it ourselves? Like, how did that all happen?
Pretty much in the first couple of days. Just from anybody can really tell, like from the first 48 hours, the whole show called First 48. The first 48 hours are so important and crucial. After that time frame, the chances of finding out more evidence or what happened drops by less than 50%. So the time was not on our side at all. It never been. And us trying to talk to them, they kept on asking about, was he on different drugs? Did he have issues with people in the classroom? Was he a part of a gang? Like, all these stereotypes that they were asking us, and we're telling them repeatedly over and over, like, no, that it's not none of that at all. No, he wouldn't run away. No, he didn't have any issues with people. He just moved to the Bloomington area. He didn't know anybody out there. I was going to myself introduce him to people that I knew. I have some friends in that area. I know some people in that area. He didn't know many people because he just came back home. He just came back home and tried to further his degree. And with everybody trying to make their own headline about what was going on, it was very frustrating for us. It was very frustrating for the family, my friends, his friends. We didn't want any of that type of attention to be on his name, because that's not who he was at all. We knew that we had to just toughen up. No matter what type of emotions we were feeling at the time, we had to go ahead and find out what was going on and get to the bottom of it, because I know that us weeping our own sorrows and feeling sad and sorry for ourselves wasn't going to get the job done. We had to just toughen up and reach out to these agencies and hire a private investigator and go to these businesses every day from sun up to sundown looking at camera footage that the police should have done and reporting back to them so they can use their power to get us more answers. So it's just, I know I took a couple classes in criminal justice myself when I was in school, but I shouldn't be the one that's going to Dollar General or going to the side streets or going to these other businesses to watch their footage, begging them to watch the footage, to give answers, to find myself and my family some more substance so we can try to see which way his car went. So we can tell the detective, hey, check in this area because they're not letting us do this.
Yeah, it's absolutely remarkable that you were able to do all that. What about social media and the national attention that your family would have? Would that bring answers? And I know you said earlier, you didn't really want to be in the spotlight in that way, but don't you think that social media is the way to really get widespread notoriety so you can get help and bring attention to things?
Yeah, I definitely agree. With the help of people that I knew and my friends, our family members, and people that I don't even know that have been watching the story who reached out, they all been a huge, tremendous help with us reaching out to the major platforms and bringing the attention to my brother's name so we can go ahead and bring the spotlight to him so we can get the FBI involved, so that we can get the attention that he needs to somebody to look at their Ring cameras. Because at first, nobody was even trying to do all that extra work, you know, and it's not that it was like that we're asking for a lot. We're just asking for somebody to just do your job and take the time to look at the video footage of your homes, your businesses, report back to us or our private investigator. We started pubbing his name out more. We started getting more and more information that could lead us to, you know, where he was at and what was going on. I feel like social media is definitely a powerful tool, and I'm glad that we did make such powerful social media push. Some of his friends in Alabama were definitely a lot of help by making different flyers and staying in contact with us. My friends and family all over been reaching out and calling different FBI bureaus at a different time of the day. We set different times to tag all news stations and get their attention, and it definitely helped. And I'm glad it did, because my brother's name, his story, this case is not going to be a dead end. It's not going to be an unidentified circumstance. It's not going to be ruled out as a suicide because we know it's a homicide. We know that it's more details out there, and the police need to stop hiding or whatever they're doing, whatever they call themselves doing. They need to let us know what's going on and do their job.
Yeah, Save, absolutely. And, you know, we hear it in your voice, and we heard it in your mother's when she made comments, this kind of feeling that, you know, you're not asking for too much. You deserve that. You're not asking too much. That's what you're supposed to be provided as an American citizen. You're supposed to get protection from the law, help from the law. So what you all are doing is not asking too much. It is understandable. The minute people hear your brother was a master's student, I mean, my goodness, he went on to further his studies. Clearly, he was a young man with a bright future. Again, we're so sorry for your loss. What's the next step for you and your family?
The next step for us is putting more fire under these investigators. The next step for us is making sure that, like I said, try to find out what exactly happened and what is going on. I know that with all these conspiracies that's going on, I know a lot of people have been DMing my mother with, like, you know, psychic readings and things of that nature. I hate seeing her go through that. I hate seeing her, you know, wanting to look at all these odd messages and things that she's been getting and coming up with different things, and while doing our best to try to keep her sane, my family sane, and things like that we just don't need. So one thing I do want to make sure that is that we get the FBI involved. We make sure that we get the correct detectives and investigators on the case, so that we're not doing the footwork. I myself and my other siblings, we haven't worked since we heard from all this happened. I haven't been to work since the 24th, 23rd, probably sometime before that. We all been out here on foot every day. My mom's been trying to manage herself, control herself for doing these interviews. We've been trying to help her do these interviews to get the attention out that we need to get more help from the FBI. We hope that this interview
will help. We absolutely hope that this interview and all the other interviews that you are doing will help, and we understand the grief that your family feels. And once again, we want to express our condolences to you and your family, and thank you so much for joining us here on BNC. We appreciate it.
Body was identified several weeks ago. The family says law enforcement hasn't been forthcoming about details of the investigation, and after several instances of mistreatment and disrespect from officers and the coroner, the family hired a lawyer and private investigator. They also got a private autopsy done, or independent autopsy done, after the first one failed to find a cause and/or manner of death. Carmen says the second autopsy left them with more questions than answers, including if the body they were burying was actually her son.
Either they did something to this autopsy wrong, or somebody, whoever did something to my child, they mutilated my son. And I need to know what happened to him. Because Jelani wouldn't have did nothing like that to nobody. He wouldn't have hurt nobody. Jelani shouldn't have been like that. I didn't even get a chance His brothers and sisters didn't get a chance. His dad didn't get a chance. When people die, you're supposed to be able to make peace and see them. I couldn't even see my baby. I couldn't even look at him because I was scared to look at what that was. But then I had to hear 2 days later what the autopsy report said. And I should have looked at him because I should have seen what they was looking at.
Carmen tells me the second autopsy revealed the body was severely decomposed, almost down to a skeleton. She says that there were signs of trauma to his brain. He was missing his eyes and also his genitalia. So many more questions that need to be answered. The family says they also still need help getting those answers. They've hired an odontologist, but also are looking for a forensic pathologist to get some of those DNA questions that were potentially answered the first time around redone just for clarity, but much, much more to go. The family has vowed to get justice for Jelani. Tashani, back to you.
Janine, thank you.
This article was posted September 30th, 2021 by WSPY News. Police interview individual in Jelani Day investigation say he is not a suspect or person of interest in this case. Last week, the Peru Police Department had posted a video of someone police wanted to talk to in regards to the investigation. That person was located and interviewed by police who now say he is not a suspect and is no longer a person of interest. Police say the man was in the area due to his employment.